Ever wanted to eavesdrop on two women chatting with each other? Well, this online platform is just going to offer you that. Welcome to Ruminate with Hina. Hi, Bhavsi. How are you
Hi,
feeling
Reena.
to be the first guest on Ruminate with Hina?
Well, very excited. I always wanted to do something like this, so I'm glad that I'm having this platform to do just talk and keep talking endlessly. My mother anyway thinks that I would be talking on some stage and giving these long lectures one day. So I think I start here.
Has it ever occurred to you that you have done something very spontaneously without thinking about it too much and you've actually felt very happy after that?
Uh, yes, I think I could talk of a very recent experience. As you may already be aware, but it started as a very spontaneous thing. So it was more like a, a photo shoot that I've done very recently, and wherein I did not think too much while going ahead with it, but after seeing the outcome, I was it just made me reflect upon many things. It just made me go back in time. It kind of just really moved me after having seen the outcome. So I think the photo shoot, one of the photo shoots that I've done with a very close friend of mine, she's an immensely talented photographer, and the way she's made me look a certain way, directed all of that, it is a piece of art. And trust me on that, I did not perceive this. And honestly, if I go back in time, I would have not been able to pull it off as fearlessly as I did at this point of time. So that's something which I would regard as a very, that sort of an experience in that context.
Yes. So I feel as you grow in life, and by growing, I don't only mean by age, as you grow wiser, you get more exposed to life. I think that fear of others judging you fades away a little bit. Do you think so?
Yes, I think gradually in life you come to a point where you stop thinking about how others have, are looking at you or probably thinking of you. I think there comes a point where you tend to let go of that, but that certainly that could also be a struggle for someone. Maybe people are very affected of how they're being seen, how they probably how they are, their body or their the way they conduct themselves, or that a lot of people do get affected by how people see them. So it's not always as easy for everyone, but I think for personally I've come afar with that. I think being a fat person, I think um, I may have been, that may have been a center for someone looking at me, in a way that could be something which people really remind me of, and probably not in a very positive way. So I think I've come a long way with with people seeing me a certain way and me feeling about myself a certain way. So I think that's more important. It's more important of how I perceive myself and how comfortable I am with myself. So it's no longer how people see me as. I'm not saying that being fat is a good thing or being thin is a good thing. I mean, I'm nobody to say that. But coming from a place where I know that this has been one of the biggest complexes I've had as I grew up. um, I think me having gained that comfort with my body, uh, that's a big win for me. I think I've I've certainly come a long way, and it's no longer a thing that holds me back from doing things and making decisions.
What is your take on relationships?
Uh, I think it's very important for two people being in an equation. They need to be accepting of each other's changes, and they need to be aware of how circumstantially a person may be evolving more. And you need to be you need to be in touch with the person. So for instance, if all these experiences that we encounter on daily basis, in some way or the other we're learning from them. And each time we come across any hardship that may change us as a person. So if my partner is not having some kind of communication with me, or I'm not having a communication with my partner, I think we'll probably lose touch on each other's growth. And I think that tends to make a relationship last or only a certain time. So you need to be very much in touch with your partner. And I think if at all I would want a relationship, that's the kind of equation I would want to share with someone. I don't need someone to be as similar as I am or having the same ideas as me. But all I think is it's important for being a part of each other's growth and encouraging and motivating one another towards whatever we want to achieve with life, or like, a profession or personally. I think we need to be in touch with each other's growth. So that's the kind of relationship I think I would want to be a part of. Tie up two people, Hina. You can't tie up two people together. They can't just stick around with each other just for the heck of it. But if you are in love with the person, or if you have that if you have a strong bond, then you will try to see it from their point of view, because that's the best way you will be able to understand them.
What is more important for you in a relationship? Love, respect, dignity, trust? What do you think is the most important factor in any relationship?
Okay, can I go out of the list? I think the idea of not being judged. So when I'm saying that, I think many a times, we tend to judge the other person. I mean, I'm not saying quite intentionally or not, but we tend to judge the other person. For instance, if I just talk of anger, I would just probably judge my partner for being as angry over something, and the way he's acted upon that, probably the way he's lost his temperament or something. Now, if I'm already concluding and perceiving something that they've done, and I already give them an impression of having judged them, they would not try to change that thing that they've lashed out. If they already feel judged, they won't make an effort to change that. They will always try to defend it. So when you're defending something, you will not change it. You will not work upon it. You will not try to make it better, because you feel that your partner is already judging you. So I think it's very important for us to to keep calm over the whole judgment factor. You need to let the other person be, and if you want the other person to reflect upon how wrong or how they could have done things differently, you need to stop judging them first. I mean, I think that could be a tough thing to do, but I think once you stop doing that, that leaves a scope in the other person to reflect upon what they just did. That could be, I think, something which can make a relationship grow better, on not coming to your partner and expressing something and having that fear of being judged. I think that's when one starts keeping things, and that's where people don't share too much with each other. That's where the hiccup is, I think.
Right.
It's just because the society decides that, okay, certain age you get married, certain age you've got to have children, certain age you've got to have a house, certain age you've got to have a car. I don't have any of this. I am not married. I don't have kids. I don't have a house of my own. I don't have a car of my own, and I'm fine. I think I'm, as long as I'm financially independent, I'm running after a kind of career I want, and I think I'm just fine. I don't feel like I'm missing a companion, but if I find someone who I think I would really want to share that space with in my life, I'm not against it either. So yeah.
I think this is very important. Whatever you're doing, whether you're running after a career or whether you're getting married or having children, you should be totally fine with it. As long as you are fine, I think everything else falls in place. Don't you think so?
Yes, of course. Any day. I think everything falls in place for sure. And, there's always going to be better examples, better things, better way of life. There's just always going to be, we
Right.
need to just see, we need to stop comparing. We need to focus on our lives and just take it as it comes. There's just no, we need to break those shackles. And I think you just can't be, your life cannot be defined as the society wants to define it, or like, whatever that is. So you just need to go with the flow.
What is that one thing that you would like to tell all the girls or the women watching you right now? What is that one thing you would really like to tell them?
I think it's extremely important for anyone in any stage of life to be aware of how you feel. That is very important, I think, because you need to understand how a certain situation is making you feel. You need to be aware. You need to hear that voice inside of you, and that's the only way you will get to the next step. If you're not aware of how a certain situation is making you feel, and if you're not listening yourself, you're not concentrating on that inner voice, I think you'll never get to, you know, uh, the next step to it, the better place to it, or the better way of being. You will just you need to identify, you need to introspect, you need to dive deep to understand things, to find your better way. There is no defined better way. It's always the better way for yourself, which suits you the best. So I think if people understand that bit better, I think that would really make things far easier. I know this doesn't come very easily. There's a lot of pressure. It may not be all girls my age, or probably a different stage. I think there's a lot of external pressure by family and relatives and all of that. I'm not saying there isn't, and I'm not saying it's easy to deal with. But you need to be aware of how you feel about it, and I think that certainly gives you a direction of how you need to tackle that. And you need to take a stand on yourself, for yourself, as and wherever possible. You need to be your own person.
Right. So by that, do you mean that we all need to be independent in every way?
Well, that's going to probably I think that makes me feel secure. I think depending on myself makes me feel secure. I personally think that if you are able to do things on your own, it breaks away the insecurity of it kind of takes away that ambiguity, and you just know what to expect of yourself. That's probably the only predictable thing. It's tricky when you expect of others, but I think it comes easier to expect of yourself. So
Yes.
yeah.
So yeah, there will be times in your life when we become unstable, we feel pressurized, we feel sad, but then to bounce back, I think is the key, right? And how do we do that? I think you very well said that we need to be independent not only financially, but independent in our minds also. You know,
Yeah,
don't
definitely.
don't
I'm sorry to cut you there. I think we need to see instability as normal. It's okay to be unstable. It's okay to not having things a certain way. I mean, who defines it anyway? You can just take your own call upon things. You need to understand life in your way. You need to stop seeing things as being unstable or being low, being a little anxious about making some decisions. It's all okay, it's all normal. We all go through it. Everybody has got their daily challenges and all of that. So we need to make that feel a little normal. There's nothing wrong with it. You need to go through a certain way of feeling to reach a certain point, and if that's the way you go through, so be it. I mean, you need to be a little more easy on yourself. You can't just define your life or your ways as per people around you do. So just give yourself that space. Just take that space as much as you can.
absolutely. Thank you, Bhavsi. It was wonderful talking to you.
Thank
And
you so much for having me. That's actually an exciting thing to be here with you today for the first engagement with your audience. Thank you so much for having me.
and I hope and I'm sure that many women watching you today would be able to relate with you, right?
Well, I hope I hope so. Thank you so much for this. Yeah.
Thank you for taking out the time and chatting with me on this platform, and
Thank you.
everyone for joining us. Thank you, Bhavsi.